Hi there. Have you just finished your book? Are you now in that stage where you're thinking about whether or not you're going to submit your book to a traditional publisher, or are you going to have a go at self-publishing? If you're thinking along the self-publishing lines, then this video is for you. Hi there, my name's Lisa Oliver, and I am a self-published author of roughly 80 titles, including books such as the Cloverleaf Pack series, the Stockton Wolves series, the Alpha and Omega series, the God Made Me Do It series. I have a lot of books, and for the last 8 years I have been self-publishing, and that self-publishing has been making for me a six-figure income every year for the past 8 years, and I'm on track to do it again this year. So, why do I think that people should self-publish, or new authors should self-publish their work? The first and key reason is because you have control. Now, I'd imagine especially if you're new to writing and publishing, you've probably spent weeks, months, maybe years finishing your work. You have crafted and recrafted. You have written when you could and when you couldn't. You've probably deleted some, yelled at others, gone through the whole thing of, oh my God, I can't do this. But then when you come through the other end and one day it's right there and you type the end, that feeling is amazing because your baby is finished. But then when you come to put it out into the world, if you choose to go on a traditional publishing route, it is very common for publishers to go, oh yes, we really love it. It's just what we need to fit in our various hole in our schedule. And then when the editors get hold of it, they start thinking, well, maybe this character needs to change, or does this person really need to be male? Could it be female instead? Is there a particular reason why this scene is in here? Shall we get rid of it? We don't like the ending. We prefer a happy ever after, or whatever. I'm just coming up with examples. But the problem is when you sign a contract with a publisher, you are signing away your rights. And if you sign away your rights, then you are honor bound by that contract to change the book the way the publisher wants. When you're self-publishing, you publish the book you want, the one you wrote. And I think that's humongously important. But the second point, the second tip, the second reason why I think self-publishing is a really good idea and so much better than traditional publishing is because when you actually get to sell some copies, you make more money per unit sold when you're a self-publisher than you do if you're traditionally published. You see, when you're self-published, let's use Amazon as an example. You put your book up on Amazon for free. You've done your cover and everything else. You put it up there, and then they give you a sales page for free. And then you promote that sales page to your friends and your family and everything else, and you start making sales. Now, depending on if you've priced this will be an electronic copy, so if you've priced your book between $2.99 and $9.99, you will make 70% of the list price. That means for every book you sell, no matter what the price, Amazon will give you 70% of that money. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute. What happened to the other 30%? Yeah, well, Amazon's got overheads too. That's just the name of the game. No point in quibbling about it. Especially when you consider that you can also price it is advisable to price your ebooks between $2.99 and $9.99 because it is an electronic book. It is going out to readers' Kindles, and that 70% margin is a nice thing to make. If you go outside of that, you make 35% on your list title. But the other awesome thing about Amazon is that you can also do paperback and hard copies of your books now using the same files, and you can set your own prices for those books regardless. And then they'll tell you, they take off costs, they let you know how much those costs are, and they let you know how much profit you'll make or how much money you will make per title sold. But the pricing for all these things is in your control and nobody else's. If you compare this to a traditional publisher, now there are the odd occasions, it doesn't happen as much anymore, but there are the odd occasions where if a traditional publisher will say, oh yes, we would love your book, they will take it, or you'll sign a contract for it. You may get a small advance. They're not common anymore because you kind of really basically have to prove you've already got an audience for your book before they'll actually give you an advance for one. But if you do get an advance, the publishing company is going to sell the number of books that it takes to clear that advance first. So even if your book, say, went out for sale in September, you might not see any money for it until the following year because, your royalties are paying back the money they've already given you. It's not a lump sum just to say hi. It's not a signing bonus. You've got to earn that off with that fantastic story that they've already pulled apart and made you rewrite. But the other problem is, and you can check this for yourself, you don't have to take my word for it, but the other problem is the amount of money, the percentage. Remember I said to you that for an electronic book, Amazon will pay you 70% royalty if your book's priced between $2.99 and $9.99, and 35% outside of that. For a traditionally published contract, you can earn anything from 5% to 20% of the list price, because traditional publishers have got a lot of overheads, and they're the ones that want to make the money. And the problem is that traditional publisher of yours will probably put your book on Amazon, among other outlets. And that, say, 10% that you get from your publisher on the list price is actually the 10% of the money that Amazon gave them. So if you are in the 70% earner on Amazon, you will earn 10% of the 70% or 10% of the 35% rather than 10% of the list price. And with publishers, your income is always based after costs. So you can see there's a huge difference. I was talking to a really good author friend of mine who has just started self-publishing. They had been traditionally published for quite a few years. She'd actually been in the business longer than I was. And I made some comment one day. We had become friends over a particular love of books in our genre, and we were chatting away, and she sort of said something about, we were talking about how much money we were making. And she couldn't believe the amount of money that I was making when she was actually selling more units. She's far more popular than I am. She's been writing for 2 years longer than I have. She has like twice as many books out as I do. But I was making twice as much money as she was because I was self-published and she was writing for a publisher. And not only that, but she was under contract for a publisher to put out a book every month. So, as you can see, there's a lot of financial reasons why self-publishing makes sense. But the third and final reason in this particular video might sound like a silly thing, but you get to set the release date when you self-publish your book. You might have written a book that wants to coincide with a particular holiday, a particular historic event, or you might just like for the fact that your books come out on the 1st of the month. Well, when you're self-publishing, you upload your book to Amazon in time for the date that you want it to come out, and you can set the date that you want it to come out, and Amazon will say, that's fine. please make sure all your files are ready by that date, and we'll release it on that date. I currently have a book at the moment, my new release, which is Demon Masks and Angel Wings. Got to do a little plug here. That will be out in about 12 hours. It's due out on the 16th of April. So probably by the time you're watching this, my new book will be out. That is the Balance Series, Book 5. And yes, Lucifer's in this one too, just in case any of my readers are watching. But I set the date for the Saturday of an Easter weekend because I like to think that a lot of my readers might have some time off over the Easter weekend and they'd like a new title of mine to read during that time. But it was my decision. I told out, I set it up when I uploaded my book. I plugged in when I wanted it to come out, and boom, it's coming out. And JP Sale and I, the collaboration that we've been doing, our second book for that is also on pre-order at the moment on Amazon. Pre-order's a wonderful thing. We'll talk about that later. But that is also on pre-order, and that comes out 22nd, next Friday. So, yeah, there's a lot of certainty by self-publishing this way, because you can gear up your marketing efforts according to a date. You can set things up so that you can do launch parties, event parties. JP and I have got holding, what do they call it? We're holding a party each in our respective private groups on Facebook next Friday. And we can do that because we know the book's going to be out, because we both self-publish. So there you go. Oh, and, okay, what did I say? 3 tips, 3 reasons, didn't I? Okay, there's one little extra tip for you. I'll give it to you just as a thing. Another wonderful reason why you should self-publish is because you can now, you didn't used to be able to, but you can now, like through Amazon and places like that, you can put out your book as an electronic book, as a hardback, or as a paperback, and it's all completely free. No vanity publishing, no having to pay for X number of copies or anything else like that. We'll do a warning video about that another day, but if anybody ever asks you to, don't do that. They're not traditional publishers, they're vanity publishers, and they're scam artists. But anyway, the really neat thing is you can have a lovely copy of your book. Have I got one of mine here? Yeah, I have. See? Oh, this is actually the first book in the Balance series. But see, this is my paperback version, which I did myself. I've put the formatted the files, put it up. See, it's got a little barcode on it. It's got everything it needs. It's a proper book. And then the really neat thing is if you do this through Amazon, then when you want author copies, you don't have to pay the list price. You don't make a royalty on them either, not your author copies, but you can buy your books for cost, and it's genuine cost. And yeah, even after all this time, I still love seeing my books come through the post. But anyway, let me see. I have mentioned the reasons. I have given you an extra reasons. So your 3 reasons are: you have control, you make more money, you can set your release date, and your extra tip is that it's free and you can do your books in 3 different formats. And that's without talking about translation rights, audio rights, or anything else. We'll discuss them on another time as well. But basically, if you want somebody to look after your baby, then perhaps the best person to look after that baby is you. So give some self-publishing some serious thought. And if you've got any questions about it, if you've been thinking about it, but you've got some questions about it, then drop them in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to help you out or do what I can. And if you did enjoy my content, this YouTube journey is still very new for me, but I hit my 1,000 subscribers the other day, and I'm so darn happy. So if you could hit like and subscribe, I still happy dance for those. So thank you so much, and have yourself an awesome weekend, and keep writing and hug the ones you love, my friends. See you in the next video.